The project is designed to, first of all, find out where these individuals go when they're not in our study area. Also, we want to try and find out, as they grow, what habitat they're using. Also, our population estimates, we don't know for sure if we're sampling the entire population, because we're only looking at a very small area of what we believe is the overall habitat. So if the sharks are travelling further, then we think we're sampling the whole population, but if they are in a restricted area, then we need to make some adjustment to the population calculation for the entire habitat. In other words, all the sharks that are present within the national park. So we also want to know or how effective the national park is in protecting these juveniles. If their movements extend outside of the national park, then they're not receiving the protection of the national park. So this is one of the main aims of the SACAP project, is to try and determine whether they are restricted to the shallow coastal habitat, which is what we believe they are. But the tracking project will hopefully determine that for sure. GVI's been assisting SNPA with their scientific monitoring of the national park since 2007. We started off by monitoring some of the coral reefs after the major bleaching event in 1998. But we've been based here since 2007, and we've gradually increased the number of scientific projects that we're working on. We look at the hawksbill turtle nesting success, the giant tortoises. We do a census every year. We're monitoring the mangrove system. And in 2014, we started studying the lemon shark population, which hadn't been studied before. Well, because of their role as top predators, they have a really beneficial impact on the national park as a whole. And also locally with commercially important fish species. The mangrove system in particular, and the coral reefs and the seagrass beds, they provide a very important habitat for the juvenile stages of these commercial fish species. So you have what's called a spillover effect with a protected area where the juveniles are very much more productive, and they will then migrate outside of the national park where they'll be available to the commercial fishery. So that's why it's important for the local economy of the Seychelles. One of the many reasons, but one of the main reasons. So it's quite an involved process. So we have quite a lot of equipment, which before every survey we need to check that we have everything. We need to make sure it's all in good order and we have enough tags, etc. Once we have everything packed up, we will then carry it on our backpacks or on our backs, however we need to get it over the rough rocky trails over to the study area, which is essentially the turtle pond. Once we get there, we'll set up what we call a workup station, and at the same time we'll start putting out our nets. So that will be different depending on which part of the study area we're working in. For example, out at the front of the mangroves we'll use gill nets, and they'll just be strung out straight from the mangroves, and they're constantly monitored to make sure that as soon as anything's caught in there, we'll be able to get to it straight away. Then we'll transport the shark to the workup station, either by hand or in a dip net, where it will be measured, weighed, tagged, and then released as quickly as possible. Total number at the moment is around 670, but we tend to tag around about 100 or 120 each year. So we've been running this project since 2014, so this is now our 6th season. Our first season we caught 96 individuals. This year already we're up to about 120 individuals, so we've got a very successful year so far. The national park provides a habitat for a lot of juvenile fish species, including a lot of commercial fish species. So there are certain areas where species reproduce, certain areas where they stay as juveniles, and then they'll migrate out into essentially the fishing grounds once they achieve a certain size, varies species by species. But these protected areas are incredibly important for maintaining fish stocks. If you don't have a place for them to reproduce and grow up into a commercially valuable size, then the fishing industry wouldn't be sustainable. So you've got what's called a spillover effect, in that restricting certain areas means they provide a spillover of commercially available individuals for the fishery. Public education is very important as well, because a lot of people aren't going to realise the importance of the national park. So highlighting the importance of Curieuse and its habitats will really benefit the conservation. It'll hopefully bring in extra funding, potentially from international organisations, and increase its importance and its profile both within the Seychelles and internationally as well. And in relation to the lemon sharks, we believe that the lemon shark population on Curieuse is one of the, if not the most significant population of juvenile lemon sharks in the whole of the Inner Islands. So yeah, it's a very important protected area.